There's nothing in life that I am denying myself in any way, shape, or form. I mean, zero. I'm doing exactly what I want to do. And when I get through doing it, there's a lot left over. and then the question is, how do you use it the best? And here I've got Bill, just turned 51, Melinda, 41, super bright, she's as bright as he is, energetic, committed, using their own money, with the philosophy that inequities exist around the world, and they're going to do everything they can to solve those inequities without regard to color, without regard to gender, without regard to geography. They just want to help the most human beings and the most they can with the dollars at their command. So I buy into that completely. I get them to work for nothing. I mean, so it's perfect. And I do it on a lesser scale with my kids. But it's ideal because I get to do what I like to do. And yet I know the money is getting used intelligently.
Thank you.
Mr. Buffett.
Were you next?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
For those of us who aren't interested in investing in the stock market, but
or not?
Yes, but more in social causes and education, and don't have the money on command like yourself and the Gates, how do you recommend you go about making the largest social impact that you can?
Well, it's a very good question. I think for certain people it can be in politics.
Right.
I mean, the levers there are huge. Now, they're very hard to get to.
Yes.
And even when you think you've gotten to them, you haven't gotten to them as much as you think. Right. But it's still, they're huge. And it's most important thing in the United States in the next 2 years is who's the president. Doesn't mean they control everything, but I mean there's a lot of things that it makes a difference in. So that's certainly a way to spend some of your time. I mean, regardless of what you may that may not be your main job, but it's important to spend part of your time there. And then I've got a grandson, for example, who's at Columbia right now, and I mean he is studying public policy and charitable. I'm majoring in it. I mean, you want to go to work for something that turns you on.
Right.
And if it turns you on to try and figure out how to help other people, it's got to really be through government or philanthropy, and maybe both.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Buffett.
Yeah.
You're enormously successful in leading the kind of life that you want to live, and just wondering, for us who want to follow that similar path, what kind of simple advice can you give us?
Simple advice is to go to work for somebody you admire, that you'd work for if you had all the money in the world. I mean, just imagine you got all the money in the world, and what would you want to spend your day doing? Now, when I was 10, I thought it would be golfing and going to the races and all that, but I've learned from my own experience with my life what it is I really enjoy, and you've got to learn that for yourself. But my guess is you won't have a great problem learning it. And then the question is, how do you best implement that? And you've got to go to work for something that is certainly not inconsistent with that. And you can't, in my view, you can't enjoy life if you're working for an organization or an individual that you feel bad about. I mean, I just don't know how you do it. I mean, you may get stuck doing it sometime. You may get drafted into the Army or who knows what, but you want to work away from that. You want to work, and you really want to work for people or for companies.
If you want to do your own thing, though, what do you do then?
Well, you try and figure out how to do it. I mean, there's no one-size-fits-all as to what direction you go. But I ended up doing my own thing. Now, I worked for J.C. Penney selling men's clothing, and I did other things. Although I always liked doing things that I could do my own way. I like delivering papers. If you gave me a choice between being the CEO of General Electric or Intel or delivering a paper out, I would rather deliver a paper out because I can design how I do the route. I can think about other things while I throw the papers. I like it, and I don't want to have to go to function after function after function, and have my whole life programmed for me. I mean, this drives Gates nuts when I do this, but here's my. I did this with him one time. There's some things in there, but he goes crazy when he sees that, and he's rearranged his life some, not much, but some, based on that, because that is the way I think I want. That's the way I want to live, and you'll get to live the kind of life you want to live.
What if we want to come work for you?
Well, you can do better than that.
Thank you.
I've been so lucky. I've been lucky in marriage, I've been lucky in jobs, I've been lucky in teachers, I've been lucky in parents, I've been lucky in the fact I was born in this country, I've been lucky in the fact I was born bright, I mean all kinds of healthy. So I think it's absolutely crazy to sit around and think for a second about how things could have been better. I mean, I am in the luckiest 99.9999%. And what I tell students, just imagine that as you were born, there was this metaphorical barrel with 6 billion tickets in it. And you reached in there and got a ticket in life. And it may have said female, it may have said male, it may have said right to everybody here, it may have said black, it may have said white, it may have said, all kinds of different things, athletic, non-athletic. But you got that ticket. Now you're all here today. Let's say you could go back to that barrel. And a genie says, you've got the power. I'm giving you the ability to stick your ticket back in and take 100 tickets out at random. But you have to choose one of those tickets that you take at random. You just give up yours, 100. Would you play the game? The answer is you wouldn't play the game. I mean, there's only 4.5 of those tickets that are going to say United States. Half of them are going to be a different sex than you are. Most people prefer their own sex. Half of them are going to be below average intelligence. Half, you get on the line, you wouldn't play that game. Now, if you won't play that game, what you're saying is that I'm in the luckiest 1% of humanity. Because I am not willing to, I don't think I can improve my lot by having 100 random choices over the ticket I got. Now, if you're in the top 1% of humanity, you've been blessed with that. It didn't have anything to do with it yourself. I mean, you did not determine the wiring with which you entered the world. To look at what's wrong with life is just plain crazy. I mean, and including the past, so you can't do anything about it. There's no rerun button in life. So you're only going to live in the future. And the people that realize how lucky they are, accept it, but also, they're not guilty about it. There's no reason to be guilty about it. And then just go out and do things that they enjoy, that are good for their family, good for their community, hopefully. There's no sense dwelling on anything else.
I was wondering, since you're sort of top of your field, obviously, does it ever feel lonely? You ever feel, no?
It's just mayonnaise.
It's good.
What advice would you give an aspiring entrepreneur? Would you say it's good to get some experience in the corporate world first, or different plunging college?
I always believe in doing what you feel like, getting on with things. I mean, that's why I was not that keen on going to college or to grad school, but I did and got my money for it. But I don't.
You don't think it's too big of a risk?
I never would worry about it.
Okay.
I mean, if something doesn't work out, it isn't like you're going to be at the end of the world or something like that. You learn something from it.